Hi, this is Jonathan Farmer from OPST, and we're going to be tying a Mini-Me Graboid today, a little trout fly. First, we're going to start off with a 32 millimeter micro shank. We're going to use a 3/16 plummeting tungsten bead from Hairline in gold. We're going to be using Power Pro in the 30-pound test. We're going to be using a mixture. We're going to be using a mixture of a dubbing from Fly Tyer's Dungeon called the Super Kraken, the Kraken Enhanced, and the Kraken Dub in Super Gold Demon, Olive, and Gill Red. We're also going to be using Crinkle Mirror Flash from Cascade Crest Tools and Root Beer, Micro Grizzly Legs and Olive from Hairline, and natural rabbit strip, natural pine squirrel strip rather. I've already prepped my shank, just laid down thread base, and we're going to take this 30-pound Power Pro, and we're going to get the length that we want. You can tie this longer or shorter depending on your preference. I like this to be about a 3-inch fly. Start this fly off with your Power Pro nice and straight. Makes the whole thing a lot easier. We're going to tie this in on top. We're using Vivus A-Dot in this fly today. This stuff is incredibly strong too. And then we're going to run back down, locking in that Power Pro. You can break this thread, it's kind of hard though. I really like to crank on this Power Pro when we're tying it in, just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Also going to hit the very front of this with just a little dab of crazy glue. Take that little bit extra time. Make sure your flies don't fall apart. It's a big thing to me. I don't ever want to hear that somebody was fishing a fly that I tied for them and it just came unbuttoned. I want you to get a bunch of fish on the same fly. So now we're going to take our strip of pine squirrel, and we're going to fold the front portion of this back. This is also a really good way not to cut down on your waist. If we're just going to do a tail, I like to tie it in from the front. Now we're going to start with this Golden Demon from Fly Tyer's Dungeon. This is the Super Kraken. It's got a ton of little silly legs mixed in with it and some angel hair. It's a really awesome dubbing that really moves a lot. It's basically like a composite loop in a bag, but doesn't have the rigidity of anything to form a shoulder. So if you're looking for that, you'll have to add in that rigidity element. And we're just going to take a little bit of the green. We don't want it to be too olive, but we want just a little hint of olive in this fly. And then we're going to take the Gill Red. The Gill Red Kraken Dub. This stuff is fantastic for little sculpins and anything that you want to have a gill in it. Take a little bit more Golden Demon. I'm a real big fan of this stuff. It's making a nice stone fly too. We're going to create 2 loops. This is a little something I picked up from a guy that I got the pleasure to hang out with and just watch them tie some flies over my time is being down in Washington. Now we're just gonna lay this little blend of Kraken dubbings into our loop. Real nice, you don't have to mess with this a whole lot. And we're just gonna spin it. And again, we're not trying to create a big shoulder on this fly. It's gonna get parted down more like you would a spay hackle or something. It's just going to create a little belly on this fly. We're going to pick out those little rubber legs really well. Give it a quick little brush and no water again. We're just going to start winding this up. Palmering it up the shank. So we don't want a ton of material. We want this fly to penetrate the water column. I mean, you can fish this fly shallow or deep, depending on your tip and how much of a bend you give it. Really prefer tungsten over lead. I personally don't like putting lead in our rivers. Tie that off. We're going to brush it out. We're just going to fold this down. We're going to part it right down the middle and come over the top. Tying our pine squirrel. If you get that little bead a pop from the bottom, kind of let things sit down inside of it. Now we're going to take our grizzly micro legs and olive from Hairline. Just going to take 2 of them and cut them in half. We're going to tie those right in on the flank. This is just a little simpler version of the Graboid Leech. Just going to go right down the flank. Just going to go right down the flank of this fly. Take your time tying them in. You just want them to sit right. And we're going to take from Cascade Crest Tools this crinkle mirror flash. I love this stuff. It's a great little bit of flash, and this is in root beer. You can also use it in orange. They make a whole bunch of really trouty colors and a bunch of really steelhead, great steelhead colors as well. And we're just going to go right down the side and tie one side in toward us, come in underneath the bottom, and just tie it right in down the side of the flank. It's kind of like a lateral scale with a really neat color to it. I've gone ahead and preloaded one of the Stonefoe clips with pine squirrel for the head. We're going to make ourselves a dubbing loop. Make sure you close those up, 2 wraps around the base of the dubbing loop. For any of you guys that are getting into this and trying to figure out why stuff keeps falling out of your loop, my best advice would be to spin it until the thread breaks and then stop spinning it so hard. Just find that point to where that thread busts, and then don't spin it so hard anymore. We're going to spin this up. And you really don't have to pick this out much. Anything that's loose is just going to kind of fall out, but we want it nice and tight. A little trick is when you make that first wrap, go ahead and get those silly legs placed where you want so they don't roll. Create our nice little head there. Tie off our dubbing loop. We're going to do a whip finish. And again, I always like to give a fly 2 whip finishes. Sometimes even 3. And there's the Mini-Me Graboid for you. Great little trout fly. It's one of my favorites. If I only had one fly to fish for rainbows, I think this one might be it. Trim up those silly legs so they're not the exact same length. We want them to be able to flow independently. And that right there's the Mini-Me Graboid. So we're going to go over real quick how to put a hook on the Mini-Me Graboid. We have our loop coming out of the back, and we're just going to pull that pine squirrel strip forward. We're going to take the 30-pound Power Pro and slide it through the eye of an OPST size 6 swing hook. This is my absolute favorite hook for trout. It's a great trout hook. And we're going to open up this loop. We're going to come over the top, and we're going to make one twist to the right. Now we have a full twist. We're going to come straight down. We're going to make one more twist. That'll be twisting to the left. It'll be left to right. And we're going to come right back over the top. So now we have 2 twists. Or loop back over the top. We're going to take that pine squirrel. And we're going to slide it right through that loop. And then holding the pine squirrel and the hook together at the same time, we're just going to slide that loop down, and it's going to find a home right down inside that pine squirrel. We're not going to pull it real tight. And now we're just going to free up anything that got trapped. I'm sure for you at home this is hard to see. But we're just going to pick any of that out. We're going to pull it tight. So that way everything is nice and tidy. And there you have it. And now you have a simple little way to rig a stinger hook on the back of a fly that you can change out if need be. And yeah, that's how you rig a stinger hook on a Mini-Me Graboid or a full-size Graboid.